Thank you. So, can we have a seat, please? We are just starting. Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome to the joint UNDP Cool side event titled as Enabling and Financing the Transition to Efficient Climate-Friendly Cooling in the MENA region. We have seen many side events already organized, even touch base on the MENA region. Yesterday, there was also another event from the UNEP Cool Coalition specifically on the efficient cooling in the MENA region, but it was more on the technology part. Today, we would like to have to discuss more on the policy and also especially the finance part as well. So just to not make it longer, I would like to invite the head of UNDP country office in Jordan country office, Rana Abul Hosun, for the welcoming speech.
The nice thing about this COP is that it's a nice, cozy crowd usually. Thank you everyone for coming. Let me start by congratulating UAE for successfully hosting this crucial COP28 and extend my appreciation to the Ozone Secretariat and its partners for their efforts in organizing this event at the Montreal Protocol Pavilion. You want me to speak louder? Okay. As MENA hosts its second consecutive UN Climate Change Conference, with cooling taking a center stage and the COP28 presidency advocating for global leaders to act through the Global Cooling Pledge, I'm delighted to welcome you to this event. Today, we will underscore the significance of the cooling sector in the MENA region, joined by distinguished speakers from the governments of Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan, as well as partners from the World Bank and the COOL-UP lead agency Guidehouse. At UNDP, we have been dedicated to promoting efficient and climate-friendly cooling globally for decades, and especially to respond to the specific needs of characteristics of the MENA region through our technical and policy support. Why sustainable cooling in MENA? The MENA region, a climate change hotspot, experiences soaring temperature, making cooling essential for comfort, health, and productivity. Presently, air conditioning systems consume up to 70% of total residential and commercial building electricity. The rising demand for cooling, exacerbated by population growth, urbanization, economic development, and climate change, is set to triple the number of AC systems in the region to 200 million units by 2050. Temperatures in MENA are escalating at twice the global average rate, threatening a 50% increase in energy demand by 2050. As the majority of electricity generation relies on fossil fuel in the region, this surge would elevate greenhouse gas emissions. The adoption of sustainable cooling solutions characterized by energy efficiency, low GW refrigerants, and compatibility with renewable energy is imperative to meet cooling needs while minimizing emissions. The MENA region presents both challenges and promises in addressing the climate impact of cooling. Despite crises and conflicts complicating policymaking, the high demand for cooling driven by extreme temperatures offers a promising avenue. Lebanon, go figure, amid ongoing challenges and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, stands as an inspiring example. Despite these challenges, Lebanon continues to set a remarkable example in terms of implementing the Montreal Protocol with support from the Clean Cooling Collaborative and UNDP. Lebanon also developed the region's first National Cooling Action Plan, NCAP, serving as a model for Egypt, Jordan, and Turkey to develop NCAP and NCAPs through the support of UNDP and EK-financed Cool Up program. UNDP advocates for national caps as an integration tool aligning a country's cooling needs with sustainable solutions. These plans connect with NDCs, National Energy Efficiency Actions Plans, energy efficiency standards, building codes, and financing objectives through public and private instruments. The Montreal Protocol exemplifies international cooperation's power to phase out ozone-depleting substances, now extended through the Kigali Amendment to phase down high GWP cooling solutions. 6 MENA countries have ratified the amendment, and the GCC countries expressed their intent to follow suit for ratification. However, to maximize the impact of cooling sector, we need to go beyond this level of cooperation. UNDP notes the financial sector's caution to support end users' adoption of efficient and climate-friendly cooling solutions. This prudent approach is understandable, as more information is needed regarding the efficiency of the cooling technologies, cost, the feasibility in MENA-specific climate and policy environment. Demonstrations of technical and financial feasibility of sustainable cooling technologies and business modalities like ESCOs for cooling, such as those under the COOLA program, will provide critical information tailored to the MENA context. Particularly, cold chain and district cooling solutions have promising potentials of energy efficiency, cost saving, and social benefits for the region. UNDP as an integrator aims to foster partnerships with the financial sector, ensuring access to vital information on investment returns for the transition to low GWP, energy efficient technologies. Climate finance to the region remains limited, actually with less than 3% of global funding for climate initiatives is reaching the Middle East. UNDP aims to bridge this gap by nurturing partnerships with key stakeholders, facilitating cooperation, and establishing multi-stakeholder platforms to enhance financing green solutions in the region. I trust that today's event will yield impactful ideas, influencing COP28 outcomes, and acting as a catalyst. Be careful, be careful. There's a cup of coffee below the yeah, but there's a cup of coffee, you might drop it. I trust that today's event will yield impactful ideas influencing COP28 outcomes and acting as a catalyst for MENA countries and stakeholders to support enabling environment and financing instruments for the sustainable cooling solutions. Together, we can cool the MENA responsibly and sustainably. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randa, for the inspiring speech. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Neşen Sürmeli Anaç, program. Okay, sorry. Now it works fine. Okay, now I would like to welcome Ms. Neşen Sürmeli Anaç, Program Manager of Cool Up from Guidehouse, to provide a kind of a general snapshot of the cooling in the MENA region. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Selimcan. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I would like to give a bit of an overview of cooling in MENA region. As Ms. Rana also mentioned, the temperatures in MENA region are increasing twice the average global rise. This translates into increased demand for air conditioning, expected to reach more than 93 million unitary air conditioning in 2050, which is an increase of 57% compared to that was in 2020. So without action, this growing demand will drive regions' rising energy demand and increase the stress on the electricity grid, which is currently also quite volatile. So we face with the so-called cooling paradox, where the increasing temperatures and greenhouse gas emissions from cooling feed into each other in a vicious cycle. So we are at a crucial point for the region to accelerate their efforts and use their position to become a global leader in sustainable cooling transition. Currently, 7 countries in the region have ratified Kigali Amendment, and I think United Arab Emirates have also announced that they will ratify Kigali Amendment yesterday. 15 countries have submitted their NDCs, and among these 15, 12 of them have mentioned actions for cooling in their NDCs. This change is accelerating now, and it needs a holistic approach that needs all stakeholders and decision makers along policy and regulation, industry and financing. Currently, various technology options are available to avoid the lock-in effects and leapfrog from conventional technology to energy efficient and sustainable solutions that use natural refrigerants. And that's what we are working in CoolUp program as well in Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan and Turkey, with a view to exchange the learnings between the countries but also throughout the region. And as with all climate and sustainability related aspects, financing has a big role to play. Currently, less than 3% of the global funding for climate initiatives was spent in MENA region. So therefore, international finance is needed for driving the technology transformation and wide-scale deployment of the solutions. National level finance is also needed, such as loans, tax incentives, bulk procurement, and cooling as a service as an innovative ways of enabling financing. We're working in the countries also to look into new business models where the financing, international and national financing institutes can work with the manufacturers and look into the acceleration of uptake of these technologies. We are working with Egypt, Turkey and Jordan to develop their national cooling action plans, which sets the agenda of the country to look from all perspectives to enable all actors to accelerate the transition. Financing being such a crucial tool in this transition, I'm really looking forward to hear from this discussion today, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for our colleague from the Guidehouse for a general description about CoolUp project. Now we want to invite our panelists to be on the stick. So the better we stay there, okay? Because it's a live stream, then people can see all of you. Maybe. Let me introduce our panelists for today's event. Mr. Yakub, many of you maybe know him very well. He's the head of the ozone section in Crete. He's quite famous, in the Montreal Protocol family. He has been the president of the meeting of the parties and also the coordinator of developing countries. Particularly, I heard that 1 month ago in Nairobi, he is a key negotiator for the new replenishment of Montreal Fund. You may know that we there is the highest record high replenishment close to $1 billion for the future 3 years. Congratulations and thank you to join us. And also our panelists from the Bahrain, Mr. Hassan Ali Mubarak, and he's the head of the Hazardous Chemical Management Unit and the National Ozone Office, Bahrain. And he has been also, long-term to be the head of the ozone officers, and he acted as also the chair of the executive committee. Thank you to join us today. And also the Ms. Meski Bahin. She is a regional director for the Sustainable Development, World Bank, Middle East, and North Africa. She will share her insight about finance with us today. And Dr. Rasmi Hamza, and he's executive director from Jordan Renewable Energy Efficiency Fund. We call it JERIF, right? So thank all of you to join us. So maybe in the beginning, we want to have you, your general views about this transition in cooling sector. We heard a lot about the refrigerant transition. We heard a lot about energy efficiency and other ways, relevant to this sector. There are a lot of challenges, particularly for this region. We know that most of the country in the region belongs to the Group 2 country. There are some reasons behind it because of the challenge of technology. And, but still, we feel this is time for all of the countries to take action because your baseline is approaching, right, from next year. So I wonder that, from this perspective, maybe you can share your insight and your thought about the transition, where you want to start and what would be the next step, in your country regarding this transition, and what will be the challenges, and what kind of area you want to get more support from international community. So floor is yours. Maybe Hassan first. I want you to.
Thank you, Shafan, and let me first of all thank UNDP for this opportunity to be here with you and invited us to be for this discussion panel. Let me say first, as a GCC in general, I don't need to say how much this region is extremely hot, and we are in the December now, and you can see how the sun outside is very difficult. So when we talk about the cooling transition, we have to talk first about the sustainability for the cooling transition, which is the most important thing for the government in the region here, and also for the all concerns people who talk about the cooling transitions. We have a high demand in the region. We talk in 2022 about $6.2 billion the annual growth for the demand with regard to as a value for the demand of the cooling. And we talk about the forecasts with a high percentage till 2028 with 5.32%. So we talk about a region that will consume a lot of the refrigerant and demands for the cooling requirements. And if we take in mind the plans that we put and we implement here since last decades with regard to the HBMBs or with regard to the energy efficiency maps that we put, and we see the growth in the demand in HFCs within the last 5 to 6 years, we have to think in real way that going or taking a decision with regard to the cooling or transition should be 100% in a correct and a decision for a plan should meet the requirement of this region with this condition and temperature. A lot of thought we can't talk about it here, but I would like to give opportunity for my colleagues first, and we can take second round to talk about some points of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this event. I appreciate UNDP's efforts in the region. In Jordan mainly, they are playing an important role in our energy transition in addition to other environmental issues. So that I'm glad actually at this COP to say doubling in energy efficiency is a very important announcement. And of course, we are happy about tripling renewable energy. This is very important. So it's an important announcement. And also, I'm glad about the damage and loss announcement as well. And this fund will be effective soon. We hopefully that we will have a very simple procedures, different than the JCF, in order to enable countries to utilize the benefits of like this fund immediately and in very easy way. So we are welcome also about this announcement, and the amount until now announced is not enough. However, we are looking forward for more commitments from the G20 countries in order to meet the promises that we launched in Paris 2015, that we are not going to leave anybody behind. So Jordan is excellent example about a small country not impacting the environment and the emission that much, 0.0006 maybe. However, we are playing and introducing the country as a model of involvement all sectors to decrease the emission and to make practices related with the sustainability with a very clear path and a plan up to 2030, where we updated our national commitments with the UNFCCC to decrease 31% by 2030, which is a great ambitious comparing with a lot of countries around in the region. In Jordan as well, we are working on in different parallel plans, including working on national energy efficiency plan. Chapter of this is cooling and heating, and the plan is finally designed for Jordan with the kind support of UNDP and the cooling program. We are partners on this, so we are finalizing now the last touches in our plan, national plan for this. It's important, and this is matching our national plan and matching the initiative that we launched in Glasgow 2 years ago. And I've been proud to launch it with the Minister of Energy at that time, which is Heating and Cooling Initiative. And after that, it's expanded to other countries. And today we are talking, in Europe, they are talking about cooling. They are talking about heating. And at that time, we added cooling. And today, after 1 year, the Europeans start talking about cooling and heating because it became hot after the last summer. So we are on the same page. Absolutely. And Nation, I would like to say that Euro program is not just for Europe, it's for the MENA region. And absolutely, there is no only, actually, a country alone can solve its own problem. We have to cooperate mainly in the MENA region. We have to transfer knowledge, innovation, experience, capacity building, we in order to play all together on the same page, on the same area. Financing, we are glad. I'm representing a Jordan Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund. It's a governmental fund. And here it's nice to mention about the state's commitment. We need interfering from the governments as well, not just the private sector. Private sector alone will not solve the issue, as well as the government alone, they will not doing well. So we need that kind of cooperation between public and private sector in order to enhance all the aspects of the transition with a very clear path to 2030 and 2050. Hopefully that we will do that. Again, interfering from the states is important. Developing let's say, policies, financing mechanisms, as well as cooperating in the region in terms of innovation and knowledge transferring is very important to upscale this important project. Cooling and heating, one of the main important issue for our building. And today, this morning, we launched the building breakthrough with the also UN project. And hopefully in Paris, will be the main issue that will be discussed next March. So altogether, we need to be on the same page, within the same level of knowledge and aware of the active goals and objectives for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's really wonderful to be here, and I think this is such an important topic, and it's an honor to be among so many colleagues who are working on this issue. And it really couldn't come at a more urgent time, because we have completed a series of country climate development reports, and one of the things that across the MENA region, and one of the things that we highlight in each of our analytics is the impact that heating is having, especially on such an urbanized region as MENA. If you take Egypt, for example, there are about 14 of the largest cities are over 40 degrees hot all year round, right? If you look at Jordan, actually, only 20% of the population actually has access to cooling. So we are seeing the heat levels are rising, and then the demand is also growing. I think what's really important is also, in general, when we're looking at this issue, not to only focus on the technologies of cooling, but to also look at how our cities are planned. How are we kind of bringing nature-based solutions to kind of bring down the temperature? Now, what kind of housing are we building? What is the technology that is being used for the construction in terms of design, in terms of how buildings are oriented? What kind of regulations do we have in place so that you don't need to use the technologies, but you actually use or minimize their use? Not using them is probably not an option anymore. So I think those are the kinds of things that we still need to reflect on. And then, like you mentioned, how do we incentivize the private sector to come up with innovative, these are private solutions, like housing is a private solution. So how do we create incentives for new ideas to emerge? And then, the role of the public sector, of course, is to develop regulations, and how might we, learn from what has worked successfully, from one country to the other. So those are the kinds of things that we're working on. I mean, I can talk about finance, but I think, are you going to ask a bunch of questions? Yeah, I mean, in terms of the World Bank, we've actually now made it mandatory that all of our funding has to have climate co-benefit. So we have increased that requirement from about 38% to now, as of now, about 45%. And all of our investments actually have to be Paris aligned, so that is going to definitely contribute to the cooling agenda. And then we're also experimenting with new kinds of financing tools. So we're working with countries to develop, say, green bonds that will help to contribute to climate outcomes. So Jordan is actually one of the countries where we've done quite a lot of work to help the government develop its green bonds. In Morocco also, we've got quite a bit of work there on developing green bonds. And then we're also now working with our multilateral, with MEGA, our multilateral investment guarantee, to develop in countries that will find it difficult to access funds on the international markets, is like, how can you bring in guarantees, again, to encourage the private sector to invest. And then we're also experimenting with new ideas like endowments, especially like in MENA. It's there's a culture of giving, endowment, like through the Waqf system, et cetera. And so how do you kind of bring that kind of traditional knowledge, but use endowments for nature-based solutions and investments. So there's different kinds of financing instruments that we're experimenting with to complement our traditional lending instruments.
Very good. But whiskey, we need also green grants, not just green bonds.
Thank you very much for being here. I think that my colleague didn't leave me anything, so I will generate something from my mind. I always say that helping hand is someone who understands. This is the priority in my mind always, that you need to understand, then you will act. So let me ask a general question here. Do all of you know what is MENA region? What is that terminology of MENA? Raise your hand if you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will ask you to clarify it. Don't raise your hand. Huh? I am an instructor before. So MENA is Middle East North Africa. Second question, how many countries is that in MENA? If you know, raise your hand. And you will have to name them one by one. So they are almost 20 countries, starting from Afghanistan until the Senegal provisions. This is where you have to understand the climatic zone of these and also the economic, social impact for these countries. If you don't understand the economic, social impact of these countries, you will never understand how to solve their issues, because you cannot compare a country to another country. It's a different modality. So when we talk about MENA and the cooling, I will not talk about air conditioning. I'm talking about the refrigeration sector. This is a food preservation for us. We, as a GCC countries, we import totally 95% of our agriculture and food from outside. We don't have the leverage of fresh waters and like this to have planted these ones. So it's starting from the ship until my house, all that road is cooled. Storage in the airport, transportations, storage again for the customers until my house. It's a refrigeration systems. This is how much we consume of this refrigeration sector. You have to understand this is a necessity for our country. It's not a luxurious way of living. We are the colony of food. You are in Dubai, how many restaurants? You will forget whatever you are eating. Second day there is a lot of choice. These restaurants use refrigerator, use a lot of these things. So lifestyle is also affecting our consumption to such kind of sectors and region. How we will solve it is also to understand. All of you, I think, if you didn't take a try after this session to go and try the ice creams in that cabinet there. All of you touch it, sit next to it, you are sitting here, you are very safe. Already, it's working on hydrocarbon, which a lot of countries say, no, be careful, this is dangerous. Flammability, why you are sitting here if it's flammable? Why you are so confident sitting in next to an equipment having this one? Because you didn't know. Sometime, not understanding people fear and increase it in the social media will keep you more calm. We are sitting next to it. But we have to decide how to use it and how to keep it safe in that also manner. So understanding the situation is the right solutions. So for the MENA region, in the refrigeration sectors, we are safe. Why? Because the technology transfer by itself, the technology is there, the adoption is there, it's market decision without interfering of the government decisions. If you go to my country today, 90% of all refrigerator freezer are 600A, without any engagement of ozone office, without anything. Because the innovator of these technologies outboard are sending this equipment, and this is their selection of choice. So I don't have other choices to go for a worst scenarios or like this. So whenever the technology is there, the absorption and adoption of this technology is easy. The second element within this refrigeration to be understand that one is affecting my economy. Yes, we are oil countries, whatever, but we are consuming electricity. 70% of electricity generation in Kuwait is used in the refrigeration and air conditioning sectors. So if we save energy while we are adopting the new technologies, then the economic cycle of the country will be increased. The people of the country have more leverage, and then we will have more proactive to go for more energy efficient technologies rather than thinking. So the public awareness and the understanding between among the end user, the government, the industry, the provider is the helping hand. Helping hand is someone who understands rather than someone who want to approve to you, you are wrong or I am wrong. It's not the issue. We have to understand each other. We have to meet in between, because I always say the Montreal Protocol, we are success for one thing. We never compete, we only complete. So this is the way that we look to this and how the Cool-Up can assist us. And thank you very much.
Thank all of you for your insights about this sector, and I feel a feeling about the importance and about this transition, but also about this sector, why this sector matters in this region, and also for climate change. And we know that a few years ago, the IEA had a report. They said that globally, by 2050, that might be the demand of the cooling might be triples. So that need a lot of investment on the energy system and give a lot of pressure to the energy grid. But this is necessary, whatever, we need that. We cannot undermine its role of cooling for our society. And particularly for this region, we feel that it's a sensitive issue because it's kind of more, this cooling is more sensitive, more important than other regions regarding to the people's life every day. And, I think you mentioned about the food security issue. You mentioned about the temperature, the extreme temperature, particularly vulnerable to the climate change. So this give a lot of challenge to us in how we can facilitate this transition in a way that, we need to ensure the food security, cold chain, development of the cooling sector to meet the demand, but also decarbonize this sector, using those technology really feasible to this region. It's not an easy way to do so, but I feel that some kind of progress already appear in the past few years. Particularly, I think in the cold chain, maybe I'm a little bit more pessimistic about the technology in cold chain, using the natural refrigerant, some cascade, some CO2 cascade with ammonia, and district cooling also maybe could be an option. I'm not saying for all of the residential area, but could be an option in some of the commercial cooling, space cooling applications. But obviously, there need a lot of investment. This will not happen automatically. There needs some kind of, program or policy incentive. Many partners to work together. Then we can deliver the solution. So, the IEA this year, I think they have a new report, and they said that renewable energy. Plus energy efficiency, plus EV, electric vehicles, and plus a heat pump. Still, the technology in this sector would be, could provide 80% of the reduction about greenhouse gas to be needed by end of the 2030. This is something I think I was so. Excited, this cooling sector, because many energy efficiency, heat pump, EV are relevant to this sector, to the technology provider. So this is something we really need to think about how we can advance this sector to meet those climate targets. Also, it's important for all of us, right? And one question I want to ask all of you. I think you mentioned about collaboration between the public and private, but I feel that some main challenge is end-user sector. How can we mobilize the end-user sector, like buildings, hotels, commercial, buildings and supermarket, whatever, they can uptake those environment-friendly, energy-efficient technology. And if there is kind of difficulties like upfront investment, so how can we support them? How can we provide enabling conditions and also incentive and support, finance support for them to be able to, adopt that? So this is maybe a key question for us to answer, and our Coolab trying to achieve, but still we're facing a lot of challenges at this moment. I want to hear your views about that, where you want to start, for your rich country, and what's your thinking about it, and whether there will be the regional approach. And World Bank, I know you did a lot about the country program, but is that possible for World Bank to support the regional program? So just exchange the ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shofan. I think as a GCC, let me talk about GCC. We started from 2017 to work as a regional, some countries of the GCC to adopt a MEPS in that time. And recently we have new updates for that one. It's still not adapted yet, but this time it's come with all GCC countries with the new thoughts, new updates as we work on something seasonal temperatures. Also, we take in mind the point of controlling the equipments, like always before the manufacturer can control or adjust or design the ACs based on any temperature. Maybe the minimum temperature reached to 16 or 17 degrees Celsius. Now there's a minimum for that, like 20 degrees Celsius. This is kind of cooperation between the region countries here to work on that. But to push and encouraging the sectors, let us say, to have a better serving for the energy, I think this is case by case. I would like here to talk as an example about Bahrain model. Bahrain model, he tried from the last 5 years to create something indirectly will save the energy by enhancing, as an example, the practice of the people, the technicians, the people who work in the cooling sectors, certify them, licensing them, try to enhance the maintenance in the equipments, which is to less as much as we can the emissions come from the large equipments like chillers and like that, by recovering the refrigerant and reclaim it, and many elements in this model actually that we found after 5 or 6 years of experience. It makes sense for the different stakeholders in the region. But honestly, I'm one of the people that would like for future, if we're going to work on energy efficiency, we have to work, as my colleague mentioned, in a group countries, not one country, not case by case. We have to work and cooperate it together. This is my point only.
Shukran. Actually, I would like, it's important to have the financial mechanism, absolutely. We need to design the right mechanisms in order to ensure that we are achieving. And again here, financing from, let's say, banks or commercial banks, but that alone will not help, because banks still banks. And you are eligible or not eligible, and financing according to their conditioning. Sometimes for the big buildings is not efficient will, because the payback period for it's very long, and so they can't find the finance. So financing here is very important, tricky, and you have to do to make it on different level. For example, we need to target the residential sector. It's very important. With residential, actually, we have now in Jordan, for example, let's give you an example. We are proposing now like home appliances program. One of the main is the ACs units. In order to exchange it with a very high quality, updated technology, inverter, saving energy units. This is important. A second to add, if you don't, that's not enough number to add also. But also with kind of subsidy from JREEF, which is Jordan Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency Fund, which is a governmental entity. So with this mechanism, you will encourage all the homes to exchange, you know, the units with the saving units. This is one. Second, you need to target the hotels for tourism sector, for example, and industrial sector. We do now. We are applying now for this, and we have two programs. We have one for the industrial sector, and we are giving, you know, covering even interest rate, and as well as we are covering the guarantees as a grant, and providing all the technical assistance to the industrial facility, and giving them a grant, I mean a loan up to $500,000 to implement the energy audit that we designed as a grant as well. With this way, you are taking the facility from A to C under implementation and helping them technically, and after that you measure the impact on their process. This is one of the program. This is for industrial, and we have another one for tourism sector as well. I gave you those examples, and it could be applied for different countries at the same time. However, financial instruments here, it's very important. We need to interfere with the right thing. This is why I ask my colleague from the World Bank when she says about the green bonds. I told him we need green grants as well for the countries and move to forward. You know, with this. This is very important issue, very important to step forward. I'm glad the global ABC now, one of the main chapters is cooling and heating. And we need to emphasize with this nation. In the next COP in Paris, we need to focus on this. We need in this next conference, I mean, in Paris in March, we need to focus on this because this is the main chapter that we are relying in saving energy and enhancing our buildings mainly, and in different, all the building. Retrofitting, I can't talk about cooling and heating without ensuring that our building is, in terms of the energy conservative. And it's designed well, and it's keeping the temperatures inside. The windows, everything, insulations, we need to take care of this. And this is, it can't be actually just in one click. This is chapters. We need to work on this on different level. However, awareness here is important, plus the rules, regulations, and policies, and enforcing for these policies is very important. So yes, we need the green grants.
I'm going to be a little provocative and say that we know that you know, across the world that the public sector is really the resources that the public sector has really does not match the demand. Okay, does not match the demand that exists out there to adapt to climate change. So we really do need to have kind of a whole of economy approach, and including you know, households. How do we help households achieve their you know, their resilience to climate change? But I don't think it's by having more, you know, public money that we're going to be able to solve this. We really need to think about the contribution that households bring to this, the contribution that the private sector brings to this, and the government, both in terms of financing, but also in trying to help establish the rules of the game and create incentives to do this. For example, local governments can provide households with, say, tax incentives in order to adopt some of these cooling technologies. Or banks could also provide no interest loans, right, through various mechanisms to allow households to afford some of these payments, etc. So there's a lot of different instruments. But you asked about the technologies and the ability to share knowledge across countries, and is there a regional approach? I think we also have to really think what is like a non-hydrocarbon reliant cooling system, and how are these being created? How do we incentivize this? For example, we know the surface geothermal is a really climate-friendly alternative to the type of systems that we have now, right? And we know in some countries this actually works very well. And it works very well for heating, but it also now works very well for cooling. So why is that not being adopted, right? And so we have to retrofit buildings, and there are technologies that allow you to do that for a reasonable cost. So how do we help, governments, both national and local, have the framework to allow these new systems to be rolled out, right? I think that's a role that both the public and private sector could play.
So again, I will say behaviors. We as human, we are creature of habit. So the long survival species is not the strongest or the intelligent. It's the most adaptable to live. We have to adapt ourselves and our way of thoughts. Just if you imagine, in the COVID era at that time, people start saving food at home for month and month because of something happened. And that create a big jump in the cooling sectors in normal houses. In my house, it was one freezer, one refrigerators. It's normal because weekly I can buy food, I put it there, so I don't need big ones. In the COVID, I buy extra refrigerator and extra freezer just to keep food secure, because I don't know the lockdown, how long it will be. The question now, after the COVID goes, and hope it will not come back again, these equipment are there. It's running. This is one of the cultural behavior. In the other way of the air conditioning, we have houses in the morning. In my country, we start at 7 o'clock to the work. So from 7 to 2 o'clock, the houses is totally empty, but the air condition is working totally there. So this is a peak that I can shave it if I just have in my iPhone a remote with the sensors to the thermostats and reduce it to 27. And when I go back to my home, I increase it to 23 to 22. I'm saving 6 hours from 24 hours days, mean 25, without touching any technologies, without engaging in any thoughts of any issues. It's just a behavior issues. The other thing that we teach our engineers and young students in university, and this is what I told them, why we have refrigerator in our home big? If the supermarket is very close and I can buy daily things that I needed, should that not save the demand and the consumer ability of me? The supermarket's 2 doors. I will grab my dinner, I will grab my lunch for one day, keep it there. So I need smaller refrigerator in my home, and I will adapt my behavior to do that. But we are of habit of creature. When we are building our homes, it have to be each room have a smaller refrigerator for water, for these things, for chocolate, and now we have special refrigerator design. I think we will reach to a people, so ladies can have a love, that now they have a refrigerator for makeups, so your makeup will never be destroyed, so you can keep it for a life. So this is the thing that we have. The second thing on the financial mechanism. Financial mechanism is just to put you on the track. It's not something sustainable that people will give you money on a daily basis to convert. So when they put you the truck, are you ready to complete the lines? So what I mean that fund sometimes is not it's not only the solutions, because just things, how much we invest money on the cancer, finding cure. We didn't find it. We have billions of dollars there, but we didn't reach. So we have to think wisely that if the technology in some sectors is not there, we think that that technology or that sector or that equipment, we have to change our behavior to less demand on that sector and that issue. So I think there is a lot of things. One of the major issues of private sector issue that the implementing agency of Montreal Protocol, all of them, I will not mention UNEP, UNDP, UNIDO, World Bank, implementing other agencies, whatever. They are doing a great job for the country's needs, and they cumulatively give you the model of fund that it's already necessity for you without exaggerating and without lowering your estimates. So they are like the consultant for you if you want to approach a financial mechanism. Depend on them, but put your thoughts, put your country initiative there, and give them the chance to design it for you. So this is why Montreal Protocol has success, because the implementing agency is doing that. And we have the expert, we have the report of the expert. We have to open this report, read it, and also to understand it so we can achieve better elevation in our understanding. I think, again, the public awareness and the public behavior have to be changed before we engage deeply in the technology itself. We have a technology, but we still have big ability to unhunger for consuming. We have to start engaging in this behavioral issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for our panelists to share their insight from different aspects, from finance part, from, models, and from regional aspect, but also from behaviors. We feel that if we want to make this transition successful, we need to bring the stakeholders together. It's not something that the Montreal Protocol can resolve by themselves. It's not something Jeff can resolve by themselves. It's also not just about the fund. It's about approach. So everybody recognize the solutions, recognize the need to take action, how to take action, how to mobilize people, but also provide some kind of incentive from public. I think we need a very smart transition, right? And everybody can contribute their great ideas to going forward. But still a lot of things we need to explore in the future. It's no one size fits all, and countries are different. Technology will be different in different countries. We need to recognize the needs from different countries. So I thank you very much. But let's give the opportunity to our audience. If there is any immediate question, maybe you want to ask the panelists, please raise your hand.
We are boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they didn't understand.
No, I think regarding the behavior change, yeah, good on that. I think we are confident yet. Thank you very much. Let's close our event. Thank again for your attendance, and thank again for our panelists join us. Bye.